And where the people of the Nation of Islam won't tell you that they are God or believe black people are gods, this is something you find in the 5% nation. They straight away say, I'm God. They don't need to pray. Why? Because God doesn't worship himself. They don't need to fast. Why? Why? Because fasting is for Allah. And they believe they're Allah. This is the ideology of these groups. Now, believe it or not, brothers and sisters, many of the groups, the rap groups that are out there, and some of the so-called soul groups that are out there, are influenced by this ideology. People like Gangstar, the Wu-Tang Clan, Brand Nubian, Erykah Badu, and I can continue giving many names, are influenced by this ideology. And they slip this ideology into their lyrics. So let's look at some groups that are 5% or Nation of Islam groups, and let's hear their lyrics. There's a group by the name of the Poor Righteous Teachers. They say, praises are due to Allah, that's me. And so they say in their song, clearly, praise, alhamd is due to who? Allah. Who is Allah, brothers and sisters? According to them, it's the person singing the song. Eric B. and Rakim, another very famous group of the 90s, and Rakim, I think, is still producing till today. And he's a member of the 5% Nation. They said, they sang in their song, no competition, I'm God. G is the 7th letter made. And so he say openly, who is he? He is God. Gangstar in a track called Tons of Guns, they sing, and yo, the devil's got assassination squads. Want to kill, censored cause they're scared of God. The word I censored refers to black people. So why does the devil want to kill black people? Because they're scared of God. Another famous rapper by the name of Prodigy, who is a kind of cult hero, he sung in his record, I Shot Ya. He says, how dare you in your life walk past me without acknowledging this man is G-O-D. So how dare you walk past this man and not acknowledge that this man is God. And these type of lyrics, brothers and sisters, young people all around the world, including Muslim young people, are listening to these type of lyrics, are repeating these type of lyrics, walking down the road, doing their shopping, revising for their studies, are listening to this type of music and repeating this type of music. Another example of deification, and this brings us near to the close of today's lecture, and I thank you for being, mashallah, tabarakallah, very patient. Nobody scratching or moving around and fidgeting. Brings us to a new movement within rap music. This new movement is trying to make rap music a type of religion. And the person who's spearheading this movement is a man by the name of KRS-One. Now, KRS-One, if you don't know, is a very, very famous rapper. He's what they call an old school rapper. He's a legend in the world of rap. And so you'll find almost every rapper, new or old, respects this man. He's a person, if he was to speak, everybody will stop talking and listen to him. He's, I suppose you can equate him, and I don't want to make this example, but just for us to understand, he's like the Sheikh al-Islam of rap music. Now, this individual back in the 90s, he set up something called the Temple of Hip Hop. And he said his purpose for setting up the Temple of Hip Hop was to set up an organization and a museum to show the historical legacy of rap music. To show how rap music, from its humble origins in the Bronx, in New York City, to where it is today. Rap music in the 1980s, and those of us who were around in the 1980s can remember, nobody was into rap music. Even in the 1990s, very few people were into rap music. Where today, you know, I think we all would admit rap music is probably the #1 music form in the world today. And so he wanted to set up an organization in which people can respect those people who came before were the pioneers of rap music. However, brothers and sisters, we find Last year in 2009, he authored this book. Now when I brought this book in, our sheikh, he looked at me like, what's this book? And it says The Gospel of Hip Hop. The First Testament presented by KRS-One. This by itself tells you where it's moving to. It looks like a Bible, isn't it? Or a Quran even. If you look at the pages, written like a Bible, or a translation of the Quran even. And this indicates to us this project. In an interview in 2009, he said, I wrote a book called The Gospel of Hip Hop to free from all this nonsense garbage right now. Respect the Christianity, the Islam, the Judaism, but their time is up. So this man is telling you, the person who wrote this gospel, what his mission is about. A person respected, not just by young men and women, but those people who are making rap music. They respect him too. This man is telling you what his agenda is. And what is his agenda? He says, in the Gospel of Hip Hop, it said, in the Gospel of Hip Hop, KRS aims to create a hip hop nation that is free from one nationality and bound by a common belief system. So what is this common belief system, brothers and sisters? Let's open up the Gospel of Hip Hop at some pages. And let's get an understanding of this new movement to make hip hop into a religion. He says on page 150, paragraph 8, and listen carefully and closely. He says, for us, God is a bloodline. That God is what, brothers and sisters? A bloodline. It is blood. It is human. Everyone does not possess the nature of God. They may respect and revere the godly life, but they themselves are not yet prepared to commit to such a life themselves. Only those who are born for God shall commit to such a life. This is the ideology of Rastafarianism. Rastafarians believe what? That the Emperor Haile Selassie is God to be worshipped. And he is God, not just because of his personality or his knowledge, but it is a bloodline that goes back to King David, Dawood alayhi salatu wassalam. This is their claim. And so we hear that this man believes that God is a bloodline. And now, let's hear a couple more. He says, page number 189, 13th paragraph, the attuned hip-hopper. Hip-hopper is the person who follows hip-hop. Praise communicates with God. And notice how I'm writing this. The attuned hip-hopper. So the hip-hopper, male or female, the hip-hopper prays with God, not to God. I psychologically changed it in my mind. He says, the attuned hip-hopper prays with God. And notice how I'm writing this. The attuned hip-hopper prays with God, not to God.
This black Mercedes outside, VK60XRZ. You're blocking somebody in. Please move.
When you pray to God, there is a distance between you and God. In a way, your prayer must still reach God. But when you pray with God, there is no distance, no space, no intervals of time. Your prayer requests can happen instantaneously. And so he is saying here that the person who listens to hip-hop and part of his temple, you don't pray to God, but with God, as if you and God are equal partners. The last quote. He says, on page 119, God is spirit. Spirit is something that doesn't have a form. And to communicate to spirit, you yourself must become spirit. As a spirit being operating effortlessly in the spirit realm, you can then see God and God's activity ultimately leading to your fulfillment. And so he says that God is a spirit, something you can't see or feel or touch or know of. So you yourself must become a spirit. So he believes that it is possible for somebody to become like God. and be with God. And be with God. And so, brothers and sisters, in conclusion, today we have looked at, and I've tried to make it concise because of time factors, a topic which I feel is very important for all of us, every single household, especially those of us who have teenage boys and teenage girls, or those of us who are older brothers and sisters responsible for young people. And invariably, young people do not understand or have the skills to look at things in culture, look at the mass media, and to break down the codes and to understand what people are trying to feed into you, to get you to think. And so it's a responsibility, especially for us, to be aware, not to be scared, not to isolate ourselves, but to give ourselves and our young children the tools so they can see what is right and what is wrong. We find our beloved Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam not isolating himself from the pagans of his time, not isolating himself in Makkah, but living there with them. However, instilling and distilling in himself, his disciples, the love of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and the importance of Tawheed, and the importance of the correct Aqidah and what follows from it, in order to protect themselves. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that our minor effort today, we place in our scales of good deeds and to be weighed as a good deed. And we thank again our brothers and sisters of Masjid Ghuraba for allowing us to give this presentation. And importantly, we thank yourselves for listening patiently to us. And so we open the floor now for any corrections or clarifications. Barakallahu feekum. Subhanaka wa bihamdika ashhadu an la ilaha illa anta.
So we thank God for this talk. Before we open the floor for the questions and answers, I just want to give some nasiha to my young brothers here. And we've heard this wonderful talk, mashallah. We've seen that the devil is behind the song. But how many of you are really going to implement this in your lives? And I mean this not just to the boys here in front of me, but the girls there that are listening as well. How much do you really detest in your heart now music? How much do you really feel that this is satanic and I should stay away from this? When Allah said in the Quran, وَلَأَغْوِيَنَّهُمْ أَجْمَعِينَ, Allah said that Shaitan, he said to him, وَلَأَغْوِيَنَّهُمْ أَجْمَعِينَ, that I will send all of them astray. Shaitan said that to who? To Allah. And how will he send them astray? By luring them through temptations. And you know the hadith, long hadith, I'll just tell you the last part of it, end of it. When Allah said to Jibreel, go and see paradise. And he surrounded around the paradise go and see the hellfire. And Allah surrounded around the hellfire all the luring things, the desires, the nice things he surrounded around the hellfire. And then when Jibreel came back to Allah, Allah said, what did you see? He said, I saw the hellfire and I'm afraid that everybody's going to enter it. Because of all the temptation and whims and desires that surround it, that will attract the people to it. This music is one such thing. But do you dislike it to the degree now, after listening to this talk, that if you have a friend who's listening to rap music or listening to any music, that you will tell him, don't listen to this? Would you do that? Or would you just leave him to carry on listening? As long as I don't listen to it, it's okay. That's not enough, brothers. You're the next generation, the youth, the girls. That's not enough. You have to speak with your mouth. You have to stand for the truth. You have to say, this is satanic. You're a Muslim. You shouldn't listen to this. Who of you have courage to do this? Hands up. Anybody? Or we're going to be just like babies. Or we listen to a nice talk and that's it. End out the window now. We're going to forget about it. No. You're Muslims. You enjoy the good and we forbid the evil. Shaitan, he said to Allah that he will send all of them astray. And these are your brothers and sisters. But then there are some of us who are so weak that when we see other people listen to music and their friends say, hey, listen to this what do you call it, rap or this music. Listen to it.